One of the consequences of hypergamy is that it creates a scenario where younger women pursue older men who have more resources. But when a woman who's in a hypergamous relationship makes an accusation of abuse, there's almost always some healthy skepticism that attends that accusation. For obvious reasons, one might surmise that a woman who makes such an accusation is merely trying to obtain more resources. In Chapter 4, I give examples of women who've tried to shake men down financially. Some of those were modern examples like Trevor Bauer. Some of them were historical examples. I did a video on an interesting character known as Harriet Wilson. Fascinating story, this memoir she tried to write and threatened the men she had relationships with that she would name them if they didn't pay her. So there is some historical precedent for this. Now, in the Me Too era, activists would have us push all of that healthy skepticism aside. And those of us who raised these questions were labeled as victim blamers or victim shamers, or the accusation that we're trying to silence accusers. And of course, that's not true. And if one looks at a lot of these scenarios, even scenarios where you have legitimately predatory men, and I'm thinking about Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, even in those cases, there are so many women who come out of the woodwork with questionable accusations, and they're obviously just trying to cash in on the settlements, on the funds that have been set up in these cases. And this is a big problem. Even in the Epstein case, something that's been in the news here a lot, I think it's just shocking how much money is flying around. And if one looks into the facts and details of that case, many of these so-called victims, these were adult women who were engaged in consensual relationships with Mr. Epstein while they were adults. And now years later, they've refashioned themselves as victims and cashed in on some of this money. So those of us who raise these questions, we're not being insensitive or unreasonable. And to engage in this kind of healthy skepticism is completely and entirely appropriate.